What's going on YouTube? In this video, we're gonna talk about how we can make an actual transformation in our lives. Not one where we're thinking things are changing, or we hope things are changing, or there's like a feeling that things are changed, like actual actionable steps. And I'm gonna teach you exactly how to go from where you are right now to where you wanna go. Quite often in life, we are trying to make adjustments. We want to grow. We want things in our world to become better, but it's really difficult for us to even have that happen if we don't have an actual assessment on where we are in life. Very recently, I discovered this tool, and honestly, it should have been like logical to me in the first place because I'm a real estate person. But this tool that I learned is called self-appraising. Yeah, making a self-appraisal. Now, I know that sounds like, well, what do you mean by self-appraisal? We're not a piece of property, but you kind of are. There's things about you, there's aspects about you that are pretty much consistent with everybody else. And there's ways that we can divide up aspects of our lives and take inventory of what's going on in those specific aspects to determine where we are currently and then where we want to go. Once we have an understanding of where we are currently and where we want to go, we now have the ability to dissect how we can actually get there. And how we get there are through behaviors. And so what I want to do is dive into the process of self-appraisal. Now, I'm going to pull up my iPad here and I'm going to show you how I've broken this down. And having a self-appraisal can really be broken down into 4 quadrants. You've got the spiritual quadrant, a physical quadrant, financial, and relationships. And to me, if we look at these 4, I'm sure there's other areas of our life where we could possibly add pieces to this, right? But in all honesty, I think if you look at this, this pretty much encompasses the totality, at least for me, on where I have an actual ability to make changes. So when we're taking a self-assessment, right, looking at ourselves as from an appraisal standpoint, we can break it down into 4 specific quadrants, right? We've got the spiritual aspects of us, we've got the physical aspects of us, we've got financial aspects of our lives, and the relationships that are in there. Now, again, you can break these down into further subgroups, but for the interest of time and just simplicity, I wanted to kind of break these down and give us some examples so that you have a framework in which to work in. Interrupting your regular scheduled programming for the following announcement. Squad Up Summit is coming to Orlando, Florida, April 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And it is going to be the premier event for real estate investors. 3,000 wholesalers, creative financiers, transaction coordinators, gator lenders, all the things that you're looking for in your business are going to be in one room. Can you imagine that? Guys, get your tickets right now at squadupsummit.com. Link in the description. Now back to watching me. So if we look at the first quadrant, right? The spiritual quadrant of your life, you'd want to take a self-assessment, so an appraisal on where you are right now spiritually. If you are in a place where you're feeling lost or potentially disconnected or just inconsistent in your spiritual practice, or maybe that your spiritual connection right now is shallow. This is pretty normal for a lot of people that just have an existence where they wake up, they do the same thing every single day. They believe in God or they believe in something greater than themselves, but they really haven't done a lot to deepen that connection or deepen that relationship. I was once in this spot myself, and I actually find myself fluctuating between feeling better and getting back to some of these more challenged parts of this understanding. But now, if you take a look at that and you say, well, right now I'm in a sense where I feel lost, disconnected, inconsistent, and shallow, but what I really want is I want to feel like I have like spiritual direction. I want to feel like I've got a community. I've got people around me where I potentially get to do things like Bible study or maybe meditate in groups. Or maybe you're thinking about creating a discipline or a practice in your life that can help deepen your spiritual understanding. And that could lead to a more fulfilled life. So now that we know where we are, right? We're here, but we want to get here. We can now determine what some behaviors could be to help us get there. So for instance, if we are trying to get more direction, we might decide to go start asking people questions. people that we admire, maybe a pastor at church, or maybe a spiritual leader, or somebody who is a little bit more connected than you, somebody that you highly admire, or you can even go to the internet and look on YouTube and find some incredible teachers there. But at the end of the day, what you really are trying to figure out is, how do you get your questions answered, right? And this can come in the form of reading books. You could go on a spiritual mission, maybe you take a retreat. I've personally gone on a few spiritual retreats. I've done some with Joe Dispenza, I've done some with Eckhart Tolle, and they have been incredible for me. I've gained so much understanding and awareness of where I am spiritually that when those retreats are over, I feel like a completely different person. If I'm looking for some community, if I want to be around other like-minded people that have common interests, maybe I'd start looking for groups where people are congregating and doing this kind of work. This could be a church, this might be a meditation group, this could be people that are, taking hikes or going into silent retreats. But there are so many resources and so many communities out there that you can join and become a part of. You really just have to start looking for them. And as you start looking for them and bring this to the front of your awareness, it's really interesting how life starts serving you people and opportunities for you to actually find these a lot easier. But the internet is an incredible place to find a community of folks that are looking for the same kind of thing. If you are trying to develop a disciplined practice, let's just say, for instance, you want to make sure you pray every day. For me, I love doing breath work and meditation. And I know that I feel so much better when I do my breath work in the morning and I do my meditation in the morning. It sets myself up for the entire day where I feel highly energized and deeply connected. But if I don't schedule it, if I'm not making this an actual priority in my day, what ends up happening is I might take too much time in the morning, dilly-dallying on the phone or drinking my coffee or answering texts and emails. And what ends up happening is I don't have enough time then to do my breath work or my meditation practice. And then that just leads to a compounding, spiraling effect throughout the rest of my day. I feel low energy, I feel disconnected, I'm maybe a little bit grouchy. I just haven't done the things to spiritually tune myself up for a good day. So scheduling it actually makes sure that it happens. Now, if you are trying to do this in a way that you are feeling fulfilled, like you can actually feel a tangible difference in how you're interacting in the world, you want to make sure that you're doing check-ins with yourself, right? You want to schedule something where you're doing a daily, maybe even a weekly and a monthly check-in. This way, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, and at the end of the month, you can determine, did you hold integrity? Did you actually do the practices that you were intending to do? And how did they make you feel? These daily, weekly, and monthly check-ins are so incredibly important because it'll show you the path that you're on and it'll show you where you're finding yourself falling off that path. And if you can understand and identify where you're falling off the path, then you'll know what behavior or what trigger is happening to you in the day, week, or month that you might need to eliminate so that you can keep your practice going. Let's move on to the physical quadrant of our lives. Let's just say physically you're feeling tired, or maybe you're just eating a lot of bad food, or you're having inconsistent exercise. You're like one of those weekend warriors. You get in on a Saturday, you work really hard Saturday, maybe you go in on a Sunday and you do a little sauna or whatever, and you think, that was great, but then Monday rolls around and you're back to your regular life and you forget, you don't go to the gym, you don't get that workout in, right? Maybe you've got terrible sleep patterns. You're going to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and then you got to wake up at 6 because you got an early day. You're getting 4 hours of sleep and that just gives you a groggy mind and you're just not who you should be throughout the day. Well, if we know where we are right now, again, we know what we want, right? We want higher energy levels. We know we want to have a better diet. We'd love to have more consistent exercise, and we would really like to get 8 hours of sleep a day so that we feel refreshed and recharged so that we can push through our day in a lot of energy and happiness. Well, now that we know where we are and where we want to go, it's really easy for us to figure out what behaviors will get us there. So, for instance, if you're feeling tired all the time, maybe you just need to add some supplements to your diet. Maybe it's just a lack of some type of mineral or a B vitamin or something that will get you feeling a little bit more energized so that you got a little bit more pep in your step throughout the day. If you're having trouble getting your diet figured out, a lot of times this has a lot to do with time. Right? If you're out on the road a lot, or if you have a busy schedule like me, I tend to forget to eat. But if I have prepackaged, ready to eat meals, I tend to get those meals in, even if it's in a short amount of time. So meal prep for me is incredibly important to make sure that I just don't have the ability to get outside of what's in front of me to eat. Right? If it's already bought, it's already in the fridge, I feel damn guilty for eating something else, and I hate sending home leftovers with Bobby. I want to make sure that I'm eating all the food that I paid for because it's paid for, right? It's expensive stuff, right? So meal prep is actually a really good way for you to make sure that you're bringing that consistency of good, nutritious food, and it's not something that you have to think about more than once a week. Now, with meal prep, you can do this yourself if you're wanting to do this in a budget. You can go shop, decide what you're gonna eat throughout the week, cook all of that on a Sunday, and then package it up throughout the whole week so that you know exactly what food you're gonna eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner throughout the entire week. If you have a little bit more resources, there are so many great companies out there. I use Sunfare, they're delicious. They have all kinds of variety of meals, and they deliver a cooler of food to my front door every single day, and it's yummy. I just put that stuff in the microwave, and bada bing, bada boom, 3.5 minutes later, I've got delicious, nutritious, prepped food for me to eat. If I'm looking at my sleep patterns and I'm just all over the place with what time I go to bed and what time I wake up, it's really simple for us to set sleep and wake times and make those times non-negotiable. So for instance, if I'm noticing that I need to get in bed by 8 o'clock in order for me to fall asleep by 9:30, then by 7:30, I should be winding down my day. But if I find myself at 7:30 out in the world somewhere or in my car or deeply engrossed in a movie, I'm not gonna make that bedtime. So I've got to start planning for that. I got to set times that are non-negotiable for me to make sure that I'm getting my butt into the bed so that I can fall asleep at the time I need to fall asleep by, so that I can wake up at the time I need to wake up in, so I can get all the other things done that I need to get done in my day. So setting non-negotiable sleep and wake times will actually help you get that 8 hours of sleep that I think all of us really crave. Now, if you're looking at this from the financial quadrant, right? A lot of us have some goals and desires and wishes for how we would like our finances to look. But you might be in a situation right now where you are just spending a lot of money on your credit cards, a lot of impulse shopping. Anytime you're out, you're like, yeah, I'll take that. Oh, those shoes look great. Let me get that. Ooh, nice jacket. I think I'm gonna buy that. Well, if you're undisciplined and you don't know what you actually have coming in, or if you don't know how much you're putting out because you're just mixing up your cash and your credit cards and it's just all over the place, well, that undiscipline is gonna lead to a situation where now you have no savings, because at the end of the month, when you actually are looking at what you've spent way more money than you actually made, and the chances for you to be able to actually put something away for your retirement or for a vacation or some big purchase that you're wanting to make just isn't happening, right? So if we don't have that, and we don't have that discipline, there's no way for us to actually save money so that we can actually do those things that are really important to us in our life. And if that's the situation you're in, there is a good chance that you're probably overworking yourself. Maybe you are working 10 hours or overtime or taking jobs on the weekend that you need to take because you're not making money, you're not making enough money during the week, or you're spending too much money during the week. And that's forcing you to have to work more hours, which is taking away from your rest, taking away from your ability to connect with your family and to do all the other things that are really important to you in your life. And it's all coming from not understanding why you are where you are and what behaviors are necessary for you to get to that next spot. So if your goal financially is to get out of debt, then maybe create a budget and have a healthy savings account so that if you do want to take a great vacation, or if you do want to buy that car, or if you do want to buy that watch, or you do want to have that splurging situation on Valentine's Day for your honey, well, now you know that you've been able to save money every single month and you've got access to that cash, and that's where you'd like to be. Or if overworking has gotten you so fed up and all you really want is some time freedom, you just want to be able to say, you know what, I want to have the time to be able to do whatever the heck I want. I hate having to be a slave to the clock. I hate having to be told when I got to be where and what time I'm going to be done, and my entire day is mapped and scheduled for me, and this is terrible. I would way rather just be able to wake up in the morning and decide what I want to do with my life. Well, that means you're looking for time freedom. Now, again, if financially this is where you are and this is where you want to go, we understand that there's going to be some behaviors that are necessary in order for you to get there. So maybe you got to start planning a debt repayment schedule, right? Like you've got to say to yourself, every month I'm gonna spend, or I'm gonna take an extra $300 or $400 from my check and I'm gonna put it towards this debt repayment so I can finally get my credit cards down to a manageable amount or zero. That could mean that you're gonna need to stop spending. And that could also mean that you gotta get more disciplined with how you are spending your money. Which means that if you are gonna splurge, you should plan them. Yes, splurging is okay. We are alive. We wanna get out there and we wanna have some fun. And you're probably thinking, Jamil, what you're proposing right now just sounds like a drag. Like, I don't wanna do any of this. I wanna just be able to be free and live. Well, you know what? A lot of very successful people that have a lot of freedom had gotten to that freedom by being very disciplined and very structured on their path towards that freedom. Freedom is a result. It is a luxury that comes from structured work. You don't become free without actually putting yourself in a situation where you're very, very intentional about how you're gonna get there. So these planned splurges, planned vacations, planned ways or times where you're gonna spend a little bit of extra money, when you do that, it will help you feel good about that because you know that this wasn't just money that you spent that you didn't have. This was money that you planned to spend. This was a vacation that you planned and saved for, and that will just give you confidence in how you are actually dealing with your personal finances. Now, if you're looking at wanting to save some money, maybe you make a plan to take 10% out of every one of your paychecks before you can actually start spending it and put that into a savings account that you can't easily access. Right? This 10% savings can help you plan for retirement or plan for that vacation or plan for that splurge that we had planned above. And that gives you the opportunity to have a more disciplined and have more fun when you actually are making those splurges or spending that money. And if you're looking at wanting to gain time freedom, maybe you've got to start looking at different opportunities, right? Maybe you're looking at your current job and saying, at $50,000 a year right now, there's just no way for me to save 10% a month. Maybe there's just no way for me to even plan splurges because everything that I'm making, I'm spending by the end of the month, right? And a lot of people, the average American household income right now is about $45,000. That's combined. When you think about that, that's not a lot of money. And if you look at the cost of living right now, there's not a real big opportunity for you to save 10% or for you to even plan splurges because at the end of the month, there's very likely not gonna be enough money to make it through the end. And you're gonna have to start living on credit. And that's why maybe it's time for you to start looking at a side hustle. Maybe it's time for you to start looking at better opportunities so that you can make more money, so that you can do these things that are gonna lead to time freedom and you having a more responsible and actually a more fulfilled financial life. And then lastly, guys, in your relationships, if your relationships feel superficial, disconnected, maybe you and your significant other are fighting a lot, or maybe you're just feeling bored. Maybe you've been in a long-term relationship and you just kind of feel like roommates right now, but you have a deep connection and you have a deep love and you're trying to make it better. So if what you're looking for is a passionate, deeply connected relationship that has peace and excitement in it, then we know that's the destination of where we're trying to get to. And again, being honest with yourself on where you are and what you truly want and desire is super important because that's gonna help us extract the behaviors that are gonna get us there. So if we are looking for more passion, maybe we need to seek more alignment and understanding with our partners. And that comes from asking great questions. What things fire you up and what things fire your significant other up? What do you guys enjoy doing together? What kind of things do you guys like talking about? What excursions or things are exciting to you guys that you actually look forward to doing? You know that there's specific things that you and your significant other have done in the past that were fun, otherwise you probably wouldn't even be in this relationship. So go back and look at those fun times, those really joyous moments, and decide to have more of those. And when you can actually put your finger on what those things look like, then we can start planning towards actually fulfilling that, right? And this comes from having check-ins. If you are in a disconnected relationship, it's important to ask each other, how are you feeling right now? How are you feeling about a relationship? Are you satisfied with me? Are you satisfied with the way that you and I interact with each other? Are you satisfied with the intimacy that we have? Are you satisfied with the connections that we have? Are you satisfied with the way that we speak to one another? These check-ins are so important because one of the things that happens in a relationship is communication breaks down and people start harboring discontent, and that discontent starts to lead to resentment, and that resentment starts to create a disconnect, and that disconnect, once given enough time, will actually derail your relationship and lead ultimately to a split. And that may not be what you want. Take it from somebody who's actually had this happen, and I'll tell you, if I had just checked in more, I probably wouldn't be in the spot that I got into. And if you are maybe fighting a lot, or you guys just can't seem to find common ground, there could be a need for you guys to go seek therapy, right? I've been seeing a therapist recently, and I can tell you that it is an incredible journey when you actually go and talk to somebody and say things that you normally would never say to somebody else. It allows you this incredible freedom, because now you can actually put your finger on what's really going on behind the scenes or underneath the surface. So often in relationships, things happen and we just push them underneath the surface and we don't think about them. We don't bring them out because we just want to keep the peace. But the more and more that we do that, the more disconnected, the more resentful we get, and the bigger the split or the bigger the schism happens between the two people. And that's what leads to a relationship breakdown. So speaking to a professional and actually having somebody help us through walking the path together and understanding where we have work to do, or maybe where we have some more listening to do, or maybe a changed behavior is necessary. An outside third-party therapist can really help you understand and put your finger on what's necessary for you to have a better relationship. And if you're looking for new experiences, this could be something that you and your partner can discuss. And as you get more aligned, as you are checking in with each other and being more honest because you have somebody in your life who is giving you real life advice, you can start to seek new experiences. And these new experiences can be so rich and so fulfilling, and they don't need to be expensive things. They don't need to be big vacations or canoeing down Lake Louise or whatever it is that you and your significant other want to do. Sometimes these new experiences are like going on a peaceful hike, or maybe waking up together and watching the sunrise, or maybe getting together and watching a sunset. Little simple things that are new and novel to you, but are continuously being updated, are great ways to create new feelings of attachment, new feelings and reasons to release oxytocin in your body, which will create deeper bonds. And those deeper bonds and those new experiences will lead to elevated feelings, and those elevated feelings will create a better relationship for you. So, as we look at our lives, this self-appraisal is such an important aspect of understanding who we are right now, so that we can understand what we really want and where we want to go. And once we get to understanding where we want to go, finding the behaviors that are going to get us there becomes a lot easier. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to this channel. I'm really interested in developing myself as a man, as a human, as a father, husband, relationship, whatever that might be. I'm always trying to grow. And if you are interested in seeing more videos like this, where I dive into the things that I'm doing in my life right now to grow myself, then do me a favor, leave me a comment and tell me what sort of topics you would like to see me talk about. Until the next one, guys, I'm Jamil Damji, and we'll see you back here again.